Has Poshmark lost its mind? That is the topic of this chatty work with me. I have some stuff that I need to lint roll to ship out today. And I've been getting lots of questions and comments about some of the recent Poshmark changes. So I thought it was the perfect topic for today's video. So on that note, I'm going to start the timer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So welcome. This is Chatty Work with me. I'm just working and chatting about a topic. And this video is covering 3 main things that have been topics in the last couple weeks, questions that I've been asked by people in my comments and Instagram messages. And so I thought it would be interesting to just share my thoughts. Some are good, some are not so good, but hopefully it's a fairly balanced perspective to, just my thoughts. So the 3 main areas, Naver, which is the South Korean company that acquired Poshmark recently, Posh shows, so that is kind of the live show format to sell items that's very similar to Whatnot. And then the third being the algorithm at Posh Fest, which I did not go to, but I did get the little notice on Poshmark of like updates from it. They decided that they were moving back to their previous algorithm since they had been doing a lot of testing this year. So I thought I would talk about those 3 things. If you know me and this channel, you know that I do sell on Poshmark. It's where I started my reselling journey, but I do have some concerns about the platform. And I have basically since I started, and then 3 months later or 4 months later, I started eBay, and I started realizing that Poshmark was imperfect for me. But I continue to sell there because I've had some level of hope that maybe they'll make improvements over time. And they have made some improvements, and I will give them that, and I try to give them credit where that is, but it's still my least favorite platform. It's still where I make the least amount of money from compared to eBay, YouTube, and possibly real estate this month. I will talk about my part-time real estate journey at the end of this video when I talk about personal stuff. But I think Poshmark is a really great way to get into the reselling space. But I have been frustrated with it over the years, and I've expressed that frustration so that people just know that it's okay to sell on a platform and like certain aspects of a platform, but not agree with everything. It's okay. Just like you can watch someone on YouTube, maybe you don't agree with everything I say, especially in these chatty work with me's, and that's okay. I don't think we need to agree on 100% everything, but yeah, Poshmark's had an interesting couple weeks. I'm sure we can all agree on that. So I'm going to start with Naver. That's spelled Naver. And I will be very upfront. I never bought stocks when Poshmark offered discounted stocks to, I think it was Poshmark ambassadors. And the reason for that was I have lost faith in a lot of Poshmark decisions, and I'm not going to put any more of my money or time than necessary in a company that I don't have the most confidence in. But I do have friends who purchased it, and there's a level of frustration with this acquisition. And there are probably a lot of videos out there that break down all the details. There are a lot of articles. I'll link a couple articles down below in case you don't know what I'm talking about and you just want kind of a recap of what this is. But basically, this is not the one I want. Basically, they were acquired by a South Korean company, and the total purchase price from that company breaks down to $17.90 per share. And there were people that bought Poshmark stock during their IPO, which is when they went public and became a publicly traded company, for much more. So basically, it's an investment that some people lost money on. And I will say this, there is a legal team, and I'll link the article from Bloomberg down below, that is considering, did Poshmark violate anything for the shareholders? This video is not going to go into that great detail, but I'll link a few things down below from reputable sources if you want to learn more. But basically, if you bought stocks for Poshmark, even if they were a discounted rate during the IPO, and you lost money and you're sad about that, I am very sorry. I think investments, as with many things in life, are risky. And I don't think anyone was wrong for purchasing it. I think a lot of people got excited about it because Poshmark built it up as like a very exciting thing that you could be a part of owning this company or have some stocks in this company that you were a part of. And just like if you work for a company and part of your offer probably includes some stock options, similar thing, you want the company to do well because hopefully that will pay back for you in a financial way at some point. So I am sorry for anyone who has been frustrated over that. I will say that the interesting thing about an acquisition is they're going back to being privately owned. And there's a couple things with that. And this is just more me talking out loud with just some questions. And again, I haven't been watching other resellers talk about this. It's been a really busy few weeks for me. So this is just things that come to my top of mind when this all happened is, does this mean they're not going to be, like when you're publicly traded, you have to disclose certain information about decisions you're making, profits, all of those types of things. When you're private, you don't necessarily have to disclose that. And so I do wonder if we are going back in the dark over Poshmark because it's going to be privately owned. It's just a curious question because I think the advantage, while it didn't matter to me since I wasn't going to be purchasing stocks, I was curious. It was nice to see that they had to be a little bit more transparent about certain things. And transparency, I think, is important for all of us who are selling on the platform and maybe paying some bills with those sales, and maybe want to continue growing our reselling business on that platform. So I do wonder about that. The other side to that is I do wonder if this company could be a good thing. I know there's a lot of fear about the unknown. And I had 2 tech startups that I worked at previous to reselling that were, when I worked there, under talks about being acquired by another company. And I remember the concern from employees over, will I lose my job? Will they make significant changes and like flip the business and it will be bad for all of us? And, there's a lot of people, whether you work for a company or in our case, we use a platform for our own small businesses. There's a lot of concern about what's going to happen next. And that unknown is scary. And I do get it. I will always have a special place in my heart for Poshmark because it introduced me to the reselling community. Specifically, I watched people on YouTube when I first started, probably like some of you guys watch this channel. And it's fun to be a part of something, especially when you work from home and you feel like you have not really coworkers, but people who know what you do and have the same passion as you. And so I'm always going to be thankful for Poshmark for a number of things, but specifically introducing me to this reselling community that I think is far better than any downsides to it. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think there's just so many great people in the reselling space, and it's partly because of Poshmark that I was introduced to it. But in my opinion, while this unknown is scary, I do wonder about a couple things. One specifically is international sales. So one of the reasons I like eBay, I like both platforms for different reasons. I prefer eBay if I had to choose one for various reasons. And one of them is it's got global shipping program that I use, or you can ship internationally directly if you wanted to go through that. But basically there's options to sell internationally. And while this isn't a huge part of my sales, because international shipping is expensive, so why would you pay for, a $20 item and then pay for shipping like $40 on top of that? It can be expensive. So it's not a huge part of my sales, but it is a part of my sales, is that people can buy from me internationally. And so I do wonder if this company Naver, and maybe you guys, if you guys know any of the answers to these and you guys can provide any links or information, sources of where you got it, that would be really helpful. But I do wonder if they have a plan to move more internationally. And it's just because they are an international company. They are based in a different country that is currently not being served by Poshmark. So that to me is possibly a good thing, because it opens up the number of buyers for our stuff. Again, shipping is going to be a little bit interesting because Poshmark has really built a platform with ease of shipping, simplified shipping for both the buyer and the seller. And if they start rolling that out, what will that look like? Will they have flat shipping for international? Will it be based off of country? Will it be no flat shipping internationally? Will they even add international? I mean, I'm making assumptions, it's just curiosity, but I think adding more international options could be a good thing down the road. And I do want to highlight that while there are things that I'm concerned about Poshmark, there is a level of, there could be some positivity out of that, and that gives me a little bit of hope. Not much, but a little bit. And I think that's important to have. Now, some have asked me before when I have made criticisms or criticized Poshmark or their decision to do certain things, why do I keep selling there? I have over 1,500 items on the platform. I've been there since over 4 years. I've invested a lot of time, and I do want Poshmark to do well, not just for me, but every reseller out there who uses it. And I do know that there are some people who only use Poshmark. So I do want Poshmark to do well. And if this acquisition could potentially be good for us in some way, I'm there for it. Now, let's see. One thing I'm looking forward to is I do feel, part of my frustrations over the years has been with Poshmark specifically, is I feel like they're just way too focused on the social aspect, way too focused on the time on site numbers or the time on app numbers. And in fact, I read an article recently, it'll be one of the ones I link below, where they were talking about that Poshmark disclosed that the average buyer and seller on Poshmark spends 25 minutes a day on the app buying and selling. I'm just curious about that stat. Is it that we're really buying and selling, or is it that that sellers are just doing a lot of sharing because we're forced to keep our items to the top? So it kind of feels like they still hold on to this number, this social aspect, like how many people are involved with parties, how many people show up to Posh Fest, live events or community events. Just this sense of community. And while I know some people like the sense of community, I would like to pay my bills. I would like to put money in savings. I am selling items, hopefully buying low and selling high to make some sort of profit for the time it takes for me to go out and source those items, to have some knowledge around maybe what brand maybe someone wants to buy. And so I would like to make a profit. And the community part for me the community part in the reselling space from sellers on Instagram and YouTube has been helpful for me, but the community space on Poshmark itself has not mattered to me. And that's me personally. And I know some people really like that side, but I have felt over the years that they are focused way more on this community social aspect and less on how can we make things simplified so people can list more buyers can find items they want easier, and so they can buy more. So there are more transactions. Win-win for sellers, win-win for buyers, and win-win for Poshmark for more fees, more transactions and more fees. So, that's been a pain point for me, and I do wonder if Naver, I hope I'm saying that right. I feel like that's the only way to say it, but I actually haven't heard anyone say it out loud. I've just read a couple articles. But I do wonder and hope that maybe Naver is going to focus more on the revenue, focus more on the numbers, and maybe dial it back on the community social stuff that to me isn't why I'm there. And I do understand that Poshmark, every platform is trying to be a little different, a little unique. And I understand that it's not bad to have some social aspect or some sense of community, but it's just been a pain point for me because it's just been something I've strongly disagreed with Poshmark over the years. So I'm excited to see if Naver is a little more focused on the bottom line as opposed to building a social platform, because I would not be mad about that personally. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on Naver down below. Again, the unknown is scary and I get it, but I don't work at the company. I'm not worried about losing my job. I don't want it to tank completely because I know a lot of people depend on the money there. I cross-list on eBay, and I think that this is one thing that will be the highlight of today's video, which is the silver lining of these changes, if you are feeling any anxiety or concern around Poshmark and these changes, is this might be that wake-up call for you to look for other things that can help you. Like, if you depend on some of the money from Poshmark and you're concerned, this might be the time for you to try out some other things. Another platform, maybe get some sort of at-home part-time job. I've said this before, but one of the reasons why I got my real estate license was to have other options that might be complementary to this life. And I thought about polling my Instagram to see, like, what are some other jobs that a self-employed person could maybe add on if they're a reseller and they're wanting different revenue streams. Because that's early advice I got from many people is, if you want to be a reseller full-time, you're probably going to want to figure out multiple revenue streams. And this could be from different platforms, like I said, or different things outside of reselling. And for example, I don't think reselling is going to go down, because I think there is a generation that continues to get older and continues to buy more, that is becoming more aware of fast fashion and all that stuff, being more thoughtful, realizing that maybe, you know, if you only wore something once to a wedding, maybe you could sell it to someone else who can get more wears out of it. Cost per wear, I don't know if you guys ever figured that out, but I just bought some new Birkenstocks because mine cracked. And I got them at DSW on sale. So they were like $105 with tax. It was like $120. And I don't buy a lot of things full price because I'm a reseller. And I'm sitting there going, I wore my previous Birkenstocks to death. Like, if you calculated how much I paid per wear, I guarantee it was like 10 cents per wear, because I wore them so much. So me spending, you know, $120 on a pair of new Birkenstocks, I already know I'm going to wear them to death, and I'm going to get a really low cost per wear, versus like maybe a dress I wear for one special occasion and I spend $100 on it. It's basically, it cost me $100 for one wear type of thing. So I think there are just more people that are just aware that because we have technology and an online presence, if you have things in your closet, if you find things in thrift stores like resellers typically do, you can find a new home for them, give them more life, which is a good thing for the environment, for a lot of things. So anyways, I think a lot of people will send me messages that they're thinking about starting YouTube channels. I've been pretty transparent about, I don't think just because someone else does YouTube channel and they're successful that it means that you're going to be successful. And real estate as well. I get a lot of people that are curious and ask questions about it. And I think it is a very complementary thing to reselling. Right now, real estate has been eating up all my time, and I'm having a hard time keeping up with reselling. That's not a bad problem to have right now, but I know in 2 months it might be the flipped. I might have no real estate activity and I might go harder on reselling. So I think it's complementary that I can kind of up, when one increases in the demand, the other one can kind of tone down a little bit, not pause, but you know, like I can do a little less work and then I can come back to it. I can shift. So both YouTube and real estate, for me, I would say most people, it's probably going to take a long time before you get paid out. You're going to put a lot of time and work into it. With real estate, you're going to spend a lot of money to get there. And with YouTube, there's no guarantee. With real estate, there's no guarantee. And there's really no guarantee in anything unless you sign some contract with a company that you've been hired and you're going to get a steady paycheck. If you're self-employed, it's unknown. Also, I'm just going to take a sip. I bought this, I haven't tried it. So this is my first reaction to this Trader Joe's sparkling black tea with peach juice. I don't have a Trader Joe's near me, and I was out of town and I stopped at one and I got a few things. And I'm in sober October right now, so no wine. So I got some new sparkling beverages just to enjoy. Oh, interesting. I don't know what I was expecting. It's good, it's just not sweet. Hence sparkling water. Like there's probably no sweetener in here. It's got a peach taste. So it does have just a touch of sweetener. But it's 15 calories. I'm not saying you should get this. I actually don't mind it. It's a peachy black tea flavor, but it's not very sweet. But it's got just like a hint of sweetness. Anyways, I'm happy with that. All right, anyways. So With real estate, with YouTube, you know, YouTube took me some time before I was making a decent amount of money where it made sense for the time I was spending. And I have some friends who've been on YouTube as long as I have, and they're making $50 a month, and they're doing more videos than I am. So it's not that someone shouldn't go into that space or give something a try. It's just, I think, be thoughtful of, it's not a guarantee, and it might require months, if not years, before you're actually paid for that time. And is there something that maybe could produce money easier? And maybe money's not the issue. I mean, I have friends who just do YouTube for fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are looking for different revenue streams and you're looking at YouTube, real estate, you know, other things outside of reselling that could complement it, it might not be good for you. It might not be what you like, and it might not work out for you. And I don't, you know, real estate for me was a crapshoot. It's like, am I even gonna like it? I mean, I have been busy every single weekend the last month showing houses and getting calls at night. And it's been overwhelming because I personally like having time off, and I'm realizing that I'm going to either have to set some major boundaries with real estate, or maybe it's not going to be for me. And sometimes you don't know if you're going to like something until you try. And I'm not saying I don't like real estate so far. Again, I'll talk about some of those updates at the end of this video, but I think that with YouTube, one of the hard realizations for me is I do like kind of being hidden in thrift stores, and I no longer have that. I like making YouTube content. I like meeting people virtually through comments, and I'm so thankful that people watch this channel, but it's been hard over the years. And real estate is turning out to be a challenge. Anything you do, like reselling, is a challenge. I mean, some days are stressful and some days are really good, and just the ups and downs of being self-employed is probably pretty consistent all over the place. So that's Naver. If you lost any money on that, or you're scared about it or worried about it, I would say probably people are talking a little bit of the unknown. And so I wouldn't panic quite yet. I'm not jumping off the platform. I will be interested to see changes that happen. And I have just a sliver of hope that maybe some good things can come out of this. We'll see. We will see. All right, algorithm. I'm going to be an unpopular opinion on this. And you guys, it's okay. It's okay if you guys tell me that you don't agree with me on this, as long as you don't like call me bad names. But I was sad when they said they were going back to the old algorithm. And let me explain. The previous life of Poshmark, where the algorithm was simple and based off of recent shares, basically. That to me was part of my biggest criticism with Poshmark, was this requirement that people either had to pay for a bot or spend, you know, multiple minutes each day sharing 5 items multiple times throughout the day manually. Or if you have, let's say, 500 items, you're sitting there sharing manually for, you know, back in the day, 30 minutes, an hour. Now they do have a little bit more of the automation in Poshmark. Thankful for anyone who doesn't have a bot that you have that option, because I wasted so much of my life in the early days of Poshmark sharing manually. And it breaks my heart how much of my life I wasted on that just to keep my items up to the top. And I just felt like the goal is for Poshmark to get the best items that people want and don't even know they want, in front of them, make the transaction as seamless as possible. That user experience design is so critical in a situation like this, where the sellers have an easy way to list, be clear, put things out easily and efficiently, and buyers have an easy way to have things just shoot their way. You know, it's kind of like when you search something, like you search for, you know, Nike pants on Google, and on the side there's advertisements of Nike pants in your size, because Google already knows things you've searched for in the past. So having that user experience be a positive thing for both the buyer and the seller, in my opinion, if a company stays stagnant and doesn't try new things, they won't continue to be successful. And so I was disappointed to hear that they were going back. What I wished had happened is, like how they're testing Posh live shows right now, and they reached out to a group of people, asked for an opt-in type thing. I wish that when they were testing things out with the algorithm, they did something similar. They asked people to join. Those people knew that their sales might be impacted, and they got feedback and data on that beta group. Whereas I think what they did, which frustrated a lot of people in our community, the selling community, is that they made changes and none of us knew what was going on. And so there was a lot of unknown and frustration and fear, and people having low sales and some people having better sales. And people not knowing how to list to make sure that their items are going to be seen. So I think the way they rolled that out was a mistake. I don't think going back to the old way is the solution. And again, you guys can think like, I had great sales, everything was perfect until they made those changes, and this might be the best thing for you. For me, I want them to continue to optimize, to make improvements to the app that benefit both the seller and the buyer. The more buyers on the app that are happy, the more buyers potentially that are gonna buy or find my items. And I am a buyer and a seller. So I see both sides. Obviously I sell more than I buy, very clearly, but I want buyers to be happy. So I think that to me was, I understand the concept of people saying if it's not fit or if it's not broken, don't fix it. Whereas I'm kind of like, with evolution and startups and technology, you need to be ahead of the curve because people are just going to mimic what you do. It's kind of like YouTube videos or content in general, technology, content, anything. If you come up with some great idea, people are just going to copy you. So then you need to be 5 steps ahead and coming up with new ideas. Poshmark, I think, with the algorithm, it's simplified with the whole just like you share and you get your items to the top. But I personally am very anti-sharing. I think there is a better algorithm solution out there that could benefit us all. And if they aren't working to try and figure that out by testing, by using beta groups, by gathering data, then we're just stuck with sharing. And again, I know some people are going to say, well, you can buy a bot. Well, or Poshmark could just charge us to have a, no sharing requirement. So you're basically promoting your listing. Some people hate that idea because they hate promoted listings on eBay. But I would much rather pay, if I'm paying, $30 to a bot each month or whatever, why wouldn't I just pay $30 a month to promote my listings so I don't have to worry about sharing or worry about a technology service outside of Poshmark to share? Again, it's different perspectives. I have over 1,500 items. If you have 50 items, you probably have a different experience with Poshmark. So I'm not saying we're a one-size-fits-all group. We are not. But I do think that the ultimate idea of Poshmark wanting sharing to keep things fair between everyone, I think it's backfired. And I don't think they know how to get out of it. And I think they tried this year to get out of that. And I think it backfired even more. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts below. And you don't have to agree with me on this. But are you happy that the algorithm is going back? Are they just giving up on that? Are they just moving their resources a different direction and saying we're just going to keep that as is? It's what we built and we don't want to deal with a whole bunch of angry sellers. Also, some of the things I heard, and I can't remember from who, because it was a while ago. It was like when all the algorithm stuff was like a hot topic, earlier this year, March, April or something. And I remember hearing someone, and I wish I could give them credit, of saying that they read something that Poshmark said that they saw an increase in sales. And that's the other thing. If Poshmark truly did see an increase in sales, which I don't doubt it, I have no reason to doubt them. If they saw an increase in sales on their platform, not for sellers who are complaining, but on their platform, why would they revert back? If they're a revenue generating business, if that is their goal, is to make money for themselves or for shareholders, either one, depending on if they're public or private, if that's their goal, why does it matter what some sellers are saying if they can prove it with data that they had an increase in sales? And that's where I think my concern has always been with Poshmark of, okay, you made this statement that you saw an increase in sales, and maybe it was the people who were listing things out of their closet that had a better chance, who didn't know how to write titles with all the details where it would be easy to search. And I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. Earlier this year, Poshmark made some changes to its algorithm. People were like, what is going on? Sellers noticed. There were a lot of people talking about it. And in a sense, I think what Poshmark was trying to do was help some of the newer sellers out, maybe people selling from their own closet, who would just put like hot pink tank top as their title. No brand, no size, no descriptive words. And those would be like underneath, like it would be two heavily described, good SEO written titles, and then two underneath it would be hot pink tank. And so I think what they were trying to do was they've got these people who join this platform. They try to market it as you can sell things out of your own closet and you can buy something new for your closet. I think a lot of those people, they aren't watching YouTube videos. They're not watching reseller content. They're just, hey, this is a hot pink tank top. They said I could list this out of my closet. I'm gonna list it for $10 and see if it sells. And maybe I sell 10 of my items and I can take that money and buy a purse I want or whatever. So if they did in fact help those people, those newer people that maybe aren't resellers, true resellers, if it actually was more money, why would Poshmark listen to the noise of the selling community? And I'm a seller. I want my sales to do well. They have not been great recently. And I'm happy that I have other revenue streams to compensate for that. And I also know there's an ebb and flow with reselling. You can have a bad couple weeks. You can have a bad month, and it may not be reflective of anything outside of just, it goes up and down sometimes. And so I'm not sitting here going, oh my gosh, my sales have taken a dive this month. Everything's crumbling, everything's crashing, Poshmark's on fire. I can't believe they're doing this to me. I'm not stressing about it, because ultimately what's in my control? I can list, I can bring down prices, I could try to find better stuff, I could go to another platform and cross list there, I could try and find another revenue stream. Those are things in my control. Things that are out of my control are decisions Poshmark makes. But I think because the community, the selling community, was so loud about their frustration with the algorithm changes, Poshmark decided to go, okay, we're gonna give this back to you guys. And it's a tough predicament. I don't envy Poshmark in a lot of ways. These are companies that are learning while doing, making decisions with no guarantee. And as someone who worked in startups, it is a high pressure, high stress environment. So I don't envy Poshmark. For me, I'm sitting there going, if I were working at Poshmark, I would ignore the noise from the sellers and focus on the numbers, focus on the data, focus on the sales, and focus on continuing to make improvements. So maybe someday you'll get to a place where there's a little less anger about things and you can find a balance, So I personally don't think them reverting back to the old algorithm, if they basically are like, we're just not gonna focus on that, if that's what they're saying, I don't agree with it. I think they need to continue making improvements on all aspects of their app and platform, but especially the algorithm and the usability, the user experience. So personally, that's just me. I was kind of bummed to see that. Now, maybe they are going to continue working on it. Maybe they learned a lesson that we shouldn't roll things out blindly and not tell people and have that uproar of the community. Because I really think that if they had been a little more honest and transparent and upfront with sellers of what they were doing and what to expect and just more communication, I don't think it would have blown up as big as it did. So maybe, fingers crossed, there's a lot of that with me and Poshmark and my feelings with Poshmark. Fingers crossed, they aren't shutting down making improvements to the algorithm, but rather, for now, going back to the algorithm that everyone seemed to be okay with, but they're going to continue to work on making improvements. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, third thing is the Posh shows. So, Posh shows, I've never joined one. Some people are upset that I made a whatnot video saying I didn't want to sell there because I had never been on the app. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. There's a lot of reasons why I don't understand it. First and foremost, I used an excuse in the comments of that video where someone was like, I just don't understand how you can criticize something if you've never actually experienced it. Or if you can, like, basically they were trying to convince me that you should try it, you would be good at it. I do video. I'm very comfortable doing video stuff. Yeah, I think I would be just fine on Posh shows, whatnot, live eBay shows, whatever platforms they're trying right now. I would be fine with it. I'm very comfortable talking to a little square. It's just not how I want to shop or sell, and it's a personal decision. And the thing I used responding to someone's comment was, I've been to Iceland before. During the winter. I wanted to go see the Northern Lights. So I traveled there, rented a car, and I was there for 2 weeks. It was a great place. Highly recommend. However, if someone told me right now, Courtney, you get a free vacation, where do you want to go? You have the choice between Antarctica or, I'm trying to think of somewhere I want to go. Or, I don't know. I've been to a lot of places, so that's why I'm Vietnam. Both places I've never been. Both places I would like to go to at some point. I would choose Vietnam. Why? Because I have done cold vacations and I have done hot vacations. Never to either one of those locations, but similar. I've been to Thailand, which is close to Vietnam. Warmer climate, there's some beaches, that kind of stuff. There's some culture. I've also been to Iceland, which is cold, which I would imagine Antarctica is going to be cold. Even if there's like, oh, you can see these cool animals and, you know, you can see these cool things. And yeah, I would like to go there someday, but I'm probably going to pick Vietnam over Antarctica for right now because I've just traveled enough to different places where sometimes you're like, I just would prefer a beach vacation, you know, or a warmer vacation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if all my friends went to Antarctica and I said, sorry guys, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to spend my 2 weeks of vacation over here in Vietnam. Have fun. Can't wait to hear about your trip. They come back. They say they loved it. And I come back and I say, I love Vietnam. We both had great experiences. I feel like it's the same thing with platforms. You can love whatnot. You can love Posh live shows. You can love Mercari. You can love Facebook Marketplace. You can love Amazon. You can love different things in the reselling space. I can still say that I don't think I'm going to like whatnot because I have seen this concept before and it's not for me. I've seen Instagram live shows where people do them in their like Instagram lives and it stresses me out. I've seen things like QVC and Home Shopping Network where they have the timer and you only have 30 minutes left to get this great deal and they're telling you about a toaster oven. I've seen all of that. I don't like shopping that way. I don't want to sell that way. And I don't need to try something to know that, especially when my resources are very thin right now. So I think it's great if someone wants to try something for themselves. Doesn't matter what that is. But I don't have to try whatnot or Posh live shows to know that's not where I want to spend my energy. That's not what I'm going to enjoy. And it's not about money. It's about happiness, sanity, peace, protecting my peace. I am already on video a lot. 3 different YouTube channels that I can't keep up with. Why am I going to add something else that's just not what I want? And that's okay. And so where this goes into is it's the same with Posh live shows. People have asked, are you going to do it? No. And if the whole reselling space, I would be shocked by this, but let's just say a what if. What if every platform, every reselling platform, and every reselling person turns to only having the option to sell things through a live video format like whatnot, like Posh live shows? What would I do? I feel like I'd pivot out of it. I don't think that would happen. There are just too many people like me that don't want to watch someone live talking about something, you know, having a timer or, you know, that bidding war. I just don't think that's going to be for everyone. It's going to be for some people and that's okay. It's not going to be for me and it's not going to be for other people. So some people would say, well, you're just not moving with the times. No, I have personal preferences. I have the choice to sell on whatever platform I want and how I want. And that's a great thing to have, is the choice to be able to design the business that works for you. And there are a lot of people that, you know, just don't want to be on video. And I know that you don't have to show your face. I know there are ways to do those types of things where you don't have to show your face, but it's not what everyone wants, both from buying and selling. So I am happy if anyone is killing it with Whatnot and Posh live shows that they're testing right now. And I do applaud Poshmark for rolling it out in kind of a systematic way where people knew what was happening. Now, I will say I hate opening the Poshmark app right now, like from a buying perspective, because there's a lot of banners right now. Now, it feels like they started like putting it all over when you open the Poshmark app. I was like, banners at top, banners, like you scroll just a little bit and there's more banners for live shows. And there was a lot of banners for live shows. And I was for a couple days going, oh, please tell me they're not going to do this, because I will just not open the app. And I usually only open the app when I'm running comps. I list on my computer and cross list on my computer. So as far as the app, if I'm out at a thrift store, I'll maybe check comps for an item on Poshmark as well. Or just maybe Poshmark only if I think that that's going to be sufficient. But I think, I didn't like seeing all these live shows pop up. Like I'm in a thrift store right now just trying to look up comps. Or if I'm at home and I'm looking for a pair of jeans to replace these or, whatever it is, I don't want to watch a live show for it. I am kind of, when I know I need to buy something, I just want to go and buy it. I'm not a social shopper. And I know there are social shoppers. And again, it's not, there's different people out there for different preferences. And, people asking me if I'm going to do it, I think if I were to try a live show, it would be on Poshmark. The reason for that is because I don't have to start a new platform. I am overwhelmed out of my mind right now with all the things I'm juggling, and I'm not complaining. I'm very happy that I've got options right now. And, but I don't want to start a new platform, especially if it's a selling platform where they have a selling style that I would not like. If I were to ever try the live format, never say never. I never said never in the Whatnot video as well. I would try it on Poshmark just because I'm already there. I already have my accounts. I'm like swatting. There was like a little tiny fly. Now, I'm not holding my breath for that because, again, that would take time. I didn't sign up for their beta, and as of right now, I think it's still a beta group. If you're wondering how people got into the Posh Live beta group, I believe they sent an email to people who had signed up for Posh Fest last year and this year, and I never signed up for Posh Fest ever because I don't want to go. So yeah, I never got the email. I never got the invite. And I know it will probably open up to everyone at some point. And if that were to happen, if I wanted to try it out, just to try it out, and there's nothing wrong with that. If I had the time to do it, then that's the platform I would try it, more than likely, because I'm already there. And yeah, but I do think it would be interesting when I have some time to, if anyone does any videos, maybe comparing Posh Lives to Whatnot. I don't really have perspective on Whatnot, but it'll be interesting to see how the community responds to that. Now, here's my biggest concern. I have 2 minutes and 40 seconds. This is my biggest concern with Posh Live. Posh shows. Sorry, not Posh Live. Posh shows. Are they cannibalizing their users and their sales? So what I mean by this is, from a business perspective, from a marketing perspective, which was my profession before this, when you put out an ad, you're not trying to get that ad to bring in the same customers you already have. You're trying to draw in new customers, right? So, Apple might have ads that appeal to this audience and this audience and this audience, and they're trying to draw in different audiences, different customers with each ad. Is Posh shows going to just take regular Poshmark buyers who are now going to buy things maybe at a lower price point on Posh shows, and now their whole revenue is going to go down because now people are buying things at a lower price than maybe before? This is suspicion. This is concern, is that it basically brings the value of the average sale price on Poshmark down because of that live bidding aspect. And I'm curious about that. I have no facts, but I'm curious to see how that plays out. Is Posh shows bringing in new customers? Is it bringing customers over from Whatnot who were not previous on Poshmark? If that's the case, smart move by Poshmark. If that's not the case, and they're just converting their Posh buyers from buying stuff on their regular, search for something, offer, buy now, that type of thing, to Posh shows, then are they making any additional money? And I'm not saying these companies shouldn't try new things and shouldn't try things that are working for other similar companies. Absolutely. Like they're going to try new things. But I do wonder, what does this mean? My sales have been terrible this month. Basically terrible since they rolled out Posh shows. Again, it could just be a bad couple weeks for me. I'm not blaming Poshmark in that. I did poll my Instagram audience and the majority said their sales were pathetic right now, especially considering the time of year when this is usually a pretty good sales time. So I'm not stressing about anything Poshmark. And I don't want anyone to stress about Poshmark. I want you to take this information and any stress or anxiety that you're feeling and turn it into, how can I maybe create some other revenue streams? Another platform, a part-time job at home, medical transcription, I don't know, a bartending job once a week, that type of, whatever. I don't think it's good for me personally to stress about things that are out of my control. And Poshmark's decisions, for the most part, are out of my control. So on that note, it is time to go to the post office in a little bit. So I'll be back when I'm driving to update you on personal life stuff. Yeah. What are you doing, Boo? Are you going to stay here and guard the house? Huh? I'll be back. You're going to take a snooze? Okay. Got my shipping. Let's go. All right, so this is truly a chatty work with me. I'm overwhelmed with all this stuff going on right now. Not in a bad way, just trying to keep things together. And I'm going to a real estate inspection because I got an offer accepted on a house for one of my many buyers that I've been showing homes to in the last few weeks. So if you follow me on Instagram, you may already know this. I update there a little bit more regularly. But I have a house in escrow and I have two other buyers that I've shown houses to in the last couple weeks. They may need to keep looking, but they're very motivated. And I also have a couple other people I'm just in conversation with that are trying to get their lending documents in place to come up. So basically, it just all of a sudden hit me. All these people were reaching out, wanting to see homes. Not a bad problem to have, but it kind of threw me in a bit of a, oh my gosh, I'm working full-time real estate right now. And how am I going to also juggle YouTube and reselling? Because those still matter to me. And my goal is not to ever become a full-time real estate agent. So I'm going to a home inspection right now. We have been in escrow for a week. It is their dream home. There was definitely some negotiating back and forth. And there were definitely some moments of, oh gosh, did I lose this? But it all worked out. And so far so good. I'm just so excited for my buyers because, they were really positive about every home they saw. They came up 3 different days from LA in 1 week. And they were so positive about everything. They saw the benefits of every home. They were open-minded to things, but they just kept coming back to this one house. And so anyways, I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited for them about that. And full disclosure, all my real estate money is just going to savings. I'm not spending any of it because my savings is where I pay my taxes out of. My 401k money comes out of there at the end of the year. And also home projects. So I've got to finish my fence at some point when the building costs or the cost of supplies comes down. I also want to get an air conditioner hopefully next year. So all of my real estate money is going to a savings account. I may at some point, maybe a few houses down the road, take like 10%, maybe go away for a weekend, and just treat myself for all the hard work. But for the most part, the goal of real estate was just to have a third main revenue stream going specifically to savings account. So it's a lot of work right now, with no payout at the moment, but I'm happy people are finding me. Last week I had 3 new people find me. A couple aren't necessarily ready quite yet, but it's all overwhelming as far as just a juggling act, because real estate, a lot of times it's just very last minute. You have to kind of jump in your car and meet someone. And like this home inspection, I found out about it 2 days ago. And so it's just juggling everything, which is a-okay by me. But that's real estate. I know a lot of people have been supportive this last year through my process. Some of people watching this channel are in the real estate industry, and it's fun to read those comments. And I'm just happy to see that it might be a good part-time revenue stream that complements reselling on YouTube. But it is a lot at times. Like right now, juggling multiple buyers all in a span of a few weeks. So it's very time consuming. And but I've met a lot of really great people, and I'm just hopeful I can find a really great home for all of them. So I did have a day off yesterday, which was great. Despite all of the craziness, despite feeling behind on YouTube and reselling because of real estate, I still am prioritizing some time off. So I got to spend a day off yesterday with my family, and that was a lot of fun. I am trying to get a camping trip scheduled, but what I'm learning about real estate is I've shown houses for a full day or more, meaning more days in a weekend, the last 3 or 4 weekends. And it's really hard for me to figure out how to set boundaries. I will at some point, but to just say I cannot show properties a certain weekend, to just say no, I'm busy, and just schedule a camping trip. Because right now I don't want to disappoint people, and I am excited that people are reaching out to me, but I also need to prioritize time off. Now, I do have some friends coming into town. They are actually 2 resellers, so hopefully we may do some sort of, maybe I'll get a little footage with them, but they're coming to stay with me for a night, and then I think we'll go thrifting another day in LA. And I'm excited to just have some friend time, meet a couple of resellers that I have communicated with virtually, and also do a couple things in my town with them. So I'm so excited about that. So I can't go camping this weekend because of that. I think I have a family obligation the following weekend, but like fingers crossed, I can schedule a camping weekend, because it's just been really hard for me to navigate everything and to take 3 days off. Especially when during the week I do shipping, and during the weekends these days I've been doing real estate. I'm not sure how best to manage that, other than I'll figure it out, and I am not worried about that. So I'm actually going into a gated community right now, so I need to show them my credentials, so real estate agents can get in here, because obviously I need to get into the home inspection, or I need to get buyers in. I need to show this. There is a guy dressed up in a bear. So this is, can I turn this around? He is dressed up as a bear. This community is called Bear Valley. This is the most adorable thing. I've never seen this in my life. Can I get you on video? I'm doing an inspection. Nope, they're not with me yet. They'll meet me later. Thank you. That was absolutely adorable. I normally would not stick a camera in someone's face, but he's wearing a mask. I'm assuming it's a him, so I'm I feel like he'd be okay with it. Anyways, this is one of our many communities here, and it's a great area to live in with a lot of amenities. This is where my house and escrow is, so anyways, I don't even know where I left off, but family time, camping, all of that's going to work out. I did set some lofty goals at the beginning of October, just to kind of have some things that I wanted to get accomplished, and kind of keep track of not trying to overdo it, being realistic about things, but also setting some goals. So a couple of my goals in October, and I'm a week in, so I've checked off a few of them, which I'm so excited about, but my goals in October are listing 300 items, which averages out to 10 per day. And so far I'm a little behind, but I'm not too far behind considering how busy I've been. So I think I need to catch up this week, 20 by 20. I think I'm at 58 or something right now, and I don't even know the date. Is it the 8th? I don't even know where I'm at. I think it's the 8th. Anyways, so I think I need to catch up about 21 or 22 this week. Other than that, I'm not doing terrible. My ears are popping because I'm going uphill. So that is, let's see. That's my reselling listing goal, is 300 this month. The last couple months I've been a little bit higher than that, but I haven't been as busy with real estate. Then YouTube, I want to put out at least, I think I put 6 COMMONTAGS videos. I'm a little behind on that right now because I have been just busy, but I'm confident I'll be able to get that done. And that's where I usually average, is right around 6 per month. But maybe I put 7. I don't know. 6 or 7 is my goal, but 6 is usually what I've been averaging the last 6 months. And so hopefully I can catch up there a little bit, get an extra video put in later this week. And yeah, then do 2 camping videos. So one that I already have footage, it's pretty much already edited. I just need to do some voiceover and just sit down and do that. And then one hopefully from a trip maybe this month. We'll see. It's lofty. And then I have a real estate video. I wrote all the notes down for a Q&A about the area of Tehachapi because I get a lot of questions and I know it will be a really helpful video for people. I just need to sit down and film it. Maybe I can do that today. I would really like to get it done and up this week because we have the Apple Festival in Tehachapi this coming weekend, and I would like to encourage people, if they see that video before the Apple Festival, that it's a perfect time to come visit the area and just see the community, go to a community event. It is one of our bigger events here, and so fingers crossed I can get that filmed today. We will see. Lofty goals. And then I do want to do at least one camping trip this weekend. I'm trying to prioritize every week some time with friends and family. And what else is on my to-do list? So I've got YouTube, I've got reselling, I've got real estate, and I've got personal. So yeah, I'm actually not doing too bad. I think it's just, I don't like screwing things up, and I think with the real estate stuff you definitely don't want to screw things up, and so I'm trying to just be very thoughtful with all the details with that. But I will keep you guys posted as always. Let's see what else is going on personally. Oh, I did have some workout goals. So I was going to walk the dog 6 days a week, and I was going to do 3 yoga classes a week. That was my October goals. Last week I failed on yoga. I only went to 1 class. And then I did walk the dog 5 days last week, not 6. But it was also because I had daycare 2 days last week. And so when she goes to daycare, I don't walk her because she's going to go on a walk with the daycare person. So, or the dog sitter. So yeah, but I am pulling up to the house right now. After I'm done with this home inspection, I'm going into town to drop off packages. This is a holiday and I totally forgot until someone on Instagram told me last night. But because I'm already on the way to town, I'm just going to go drop off packages so that tomorrow I can just do a long reselling day, like a 12-hour reselling day, because I think, yeah, it would just be good to get a little caught up with reselling, at least photographs, and putting away some inventory and getting some listings and drafts done and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think what else. That's basically it. It's just chaos right now. And I'm feeling so excited about a lot of things. So it's like a good chaos. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed in that I don't want to get in over my head. But I also know that sometimes, especially with real estate, it may be a little bit crazier at certain times, just due to the fact that, 1 month you could have 4 buyers or sellers or clients, and then you could go 2 months without having any. And so I'm just trying to embrace that. I do have someone at my office that I pay a small percentage of my commission to help with some of the paperwork. And that is such a relief for me because then I know there's another set of eyes on things. The other agent is great. She's one of the most respected in our area, so she's great to deal with. And I just showed houses yesterday. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago. And that was in an out-of-town area. And that was a little harder for me because we don't share the same real estate program, so I couldn't see all the details, but it ended up being just fine. And I wouldn't be surprised if both my buyers that came last weekend and this weekend want to schedule another day to go see some more homes, which is fine. It's part of the fun. I don't ever want people to feel pressured that you got to put an offer on, because for me personally, it took me 2 months of looking at homes. Now, most of the time with me, I was going and looking at one home, and then like a week would go by and I would request to go and see another home. Whereas it is hard when people travel to this area and they want to see 10 homes in one day. And it takes me a few hours to schedule all of those and like make it make sense in a map. And then it also, it takes me a couple hours to send feedback to all those agents. So it's a very time consuming process. It's not just showing the homes and letting people in. But I know that's part of the journey. And it's just so fun to have that interaction with different buyers. And I do like the buyer side. I mean, if someone came and asked me to list their house, I absolutely would. But I do like the buyer side because it's the part of real estate that I went through and I can relate to. And it's exciting and scary and fun and all of this stuff. And so, yeah. And, I mean, a lot of it is you get the license, you go through all the, learning what's right and wrong and, and the paperwork is relatively, I mean, it's just having someone that has access to things and can get the paperwork done. I think this is my inspector pulling up. Maybe. I think this is my inspector. So that's my cue to go. While the inspector's here, I get to walk around and do an agent visual inspection. My buyers are coming into town again, and so that they can meet with the inspector after to get a recap of everything. So fingers crossed this inspection goes well. I'm confident it will. Every house has issues, so there will be some issues that he will find, but that's what you want in an inspection. So I'll be back with another video soon. I'm just excited about a lot of things right now, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit the thumbs up. It means a lot to me right now. And I'll be back soon. Okay, bye.